Welcome to Beyond the Static. Tonight we're getting a little more personal. We've talked about legends, hauntings, and things that have been passed down for generations. But tonight we're talking about the experiences that happened to us. The footsteps nobody could explain. The voices when nobody else was there. The shadows you swear you saw out of the corner of your eye. These are real stories from real people, and whether you believe in ghosts or not, some experiences are just impossible to forget. So turn down the lights, settle in, and listen closely, because tonight we're going beyond the static. So our first entry is from Vicky D. She is here in chat, I believe. So this is her. She sent me two. She sent me two stories, so we're gonna read those first. It says, "Greetings, my fellow ghosties. I realize this format for a story may be a little weird, but I wasn't really sure the best way to convey my personal dealings with the paranormal. I've been a paranormal enthusiast my entire life. Growing up, my dad and I used to watch ghost hunters religiously, and I think that kind of influenced my ability to believe in some of these instances. It also helps that I was born pretty darn close to Halloween, and of all places, the frickin' Sleepy Hollow. Listen, the legend of Sleepy Hollow is my favorite legend in the world. A lot of you probably already know that. And also, Ghost Hunters is engraved in my fucking brain too. Best show in the world. You can say it's ingrained in my DNA. That's how I look at it, at least. Anyways, here's some important yet also superfluous, I don't know that word, backstory. I grew up in a really small town, just 30 miles north of Manhattan. There were only 2 stoplights and only 2 ways in and out of town. My house was directly on Lake Meehaw. Computer, show this guy my hee-haw. I'm sorry. My house was directly on Lake Hee-Haw. We could see both the lake and the Hudson River from my front stoop. It was beautiful and quiet. Not many things have happened here, and by the same token, there was definitely not much to do. My family has lived in our home since my great-grandmother. It has definitely been around for a while. It was handed down to my grandmother, who gave it to my father, who moved in when I was about 6 years old. The history of the house is mostly unknown to me, as my family didn't keep great track record of the things that went on there. The 2 things we do know are that my grandmother died in the back bedroom, and there were 2 major fires in the home that destroyed the upstairs, but that was before my time. One was when my grandmother was a teenager, and the second was at an unknown time, before we moved in. We had to rebuild the upstairs as it was still mostly burned from the last fire. The bones of the home were good, but in the end, they sheetrocked over the charred beams and called it a day. Coincidentally, this is where my bedroom was growing up. The house itself is the typical New England style home. 3 floors consisting of a cinder block basement, a main floor, and an upstairs. The upstairs itself had 2 bedrooms, a landing to the attic, and then a back room that was more the size of the closet than anything. You could see directly up the stairs from the couch and into the back room depending on where you sat. That is where my first encounter happened. Now, we always had things happen in the house, but we became so used to them, we always thought they were normal. Bulbs would blow out all the time, music boxes would play, the TVs would turn themselves on and off, but this was different. I was 13, and it was my first time staying home alone. At the time, it wasn't a huge deal. My grandmother lived 2 houses up the street. We knew all of our neighbors, and my parents knew I'd be safe. Excuse me. However, being 13, I thought it was the coolest thing to finally be trusted on my own, sorry. I was sitting on the couch with my snacks watching TV. It was dark and I was starting to get a little freaked out because my house was creepy at night. And we all can, you know, we've all been through there. You know, my house is creepy at night and I've been here for 7 years. There's times where I can be walking through my house pitch black, I'm fine, and then the next day walking through my house pitch black and I'm like freaked out, you know? Okay. I was sitting on the couch with my snacks. However, being 13, I thought it was the coolest thing to finally be trusted on my own. I was sitting on the couch with my snacks watching TV. It was dark, and I was starting to get a little freaked out because my house was creepy at night. You could hear things creaking and groaning, and I would jump at every little noise. I got up and went to the kitchen to grab a drink. I let the dogs out, and when I went to sit back down on the couch, I noticed the lights were on upstairs. I was super confused. Thank you, Kay. I was super confused because no one had been up there all night. And not 5 minutes earlier, everything was off. I walked up the stairs, turned everything off, and tried to make my way back downstairs. To get to the stairs, you have to pass that back... Thank you, Two-Face. You had to pass that back closet space to go anywhere up there. When I walked by, I could feel that it was really cold. I checked the window in the back room, and sure enough, it was closed. I eventually made it back downstairs and sat down on the side of the couch closest to the stairs. I changed the channel on the TV, and at the time, they were those big CRT TVs. No flat screens yet, unless you were rich. I caught something in the... Dude, I'm sorry, I'm like really into this. I caught something in the corner of my eye and looked upstairs. It looked like there was this white light coming out of the back room. I turned around to get a better view, and there was this woman standing at the top of the stairs near the back room. She was looking right at me. I didn't scream. I was so stunned I just stared. She stood there for a few moments before walking backwards into the back room and sitting down in an old rocking chair we had in front of the window. I closed my eyes because I started getting freaked out. Eventually, when my parents got home, I told them what happened. Of course, they didn't believe me, but I knew what I saw. Later that year, we were looking through old photos, and I actually found a picture of the woman who was staring at me. It turns out it was my great-grandmother who had died in the house. For many years after that, I used to have to sleep flat on my back because I would always feel like someone was standing behind me if I had my back to the wall or the doorway in my room. Motherfucker, that was such a good story. So I have a story for at the end too. And this reminded me of a better one that I'm gonna tell. And it's kind of the same type of thing, sorta. Bro, that was insane. Yeah, she just wanted to say hi, right? That could be it. That could be it. Guys, can we get a little round of applause, claps in chat for Vicky's first story? That was amazing. And the way she wrote it was very, very good. I fuck with that. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah, dude. We're going to start story 2 over again real quick. This goes back to when I was the same age, 13 or 14, I think. My neighbor and I, who were good friends, would spend a ton of time at each other's house. On this night, we were in my kitchen playing cards. It was about 2 a.m., so both of my parents and all 3 of my younger siblings were sleeping. I stood up from the kitchen table to get us drinks when all of a sudden I heard someone say my name, clear as day. My friend and I looked at each other and quickly ran around to make sure everyone was asleep. Spoiler, they were. Fuck. We both ran up the stairs to my room where we hid for the rest of the night. When my mom got up in the morning, we both ran down to tell her what happened. She was stunned, but she confirmed it wasn't her. My friend never spent the night again. And that was Vicky's second story. Short, sweet, to the point. Holy shit. Usually I do votes, like you guys are going to vote on what you want me to talk about next. But next episode, I already chose. We're going to do haunted locations all over the United States. So if you guys have haunted locations that you want me to speak on, send me the location and I'll do my research and I'll write the script and because I had a lot of fun doing the haunted locations one when I was over on the other website. Because can't lie to you guys, this is episode number 5 of the podcast. The other 4 were on a different website, like that we're not gonna, So this is episode 1. We're starting fresh. We're starting over. And now we're going to read Tech. All right. So the stories I have is at my old house. There were so many things that occurred, and some were downright terrifying. The house was built in the 50s, 2 stories, 3-bedroom bungalow. I'm going to stim on that for a second. Bungalow. Bungalow. The house was built in the 50s, 2 stories, 3-bedroom bungalow. We moved in when my daughter was maybe 4, and my wife was pregnant with my son at the time. Fast forward to when my son was born. He was able... sorry, I need to move this a little bit. There you go. Need it good for my eyes. Alright, fast forward to when my son was born, and he was able to crawl. Strange things started happening. Lights would randomly flicker, weird knocks and noises throughout the house. Just eerie. But I just figured it was an old house and thought nothing of it. Until one morning, I woke up to my daughter screaming bloody murder. I rushed to her room and her light is on. She's out of her bed, sitting in the corner, bawling her eyes out, just pointing to the other corner of the room. What the fuck? Like she could see something I couldn't. What was weird is that she was too little to reach the light switch, and her blankets looked like they were thrown or pulled to the same corner that she was pointing at.
Smarter conversations start here.
That's
Every
crazy.
call, every meeting, every
That's
night,
crazy.
Smarter. That's Dialpad from T-Mobile
Jesus.
for Business.
From that day on, it got stranger. One morning, my wife called and I answered. She's like, "You're late for work." She knew that because I always call her every morning before I leave the house. So I spring up out of bed to notice an alarm clock was off. I walk into the kitchen, look at the oven, and the clock on it was off too. I opened the fridge, you guessed it, off. At first I thought our power was out, but as I'm walking into the living room I notice all my gaming console plugs are not plugged into the wall. Come to find out, everything in my house that went into an outlet was unplugged. And I mean everything. That shit sent shivers down my spine. Jesus fucking Christ, Tech. He said everything was unplugged. I think a few months passed before another occurrence happened. I got home from work. Long day. Showered, made dinner for everybody, everything was fine. Tucked the kiddos into bed for the night. My wife and I watched a few of our episodes, and she went to bed. I didn't have work the next day and decided to stay up and play some games and have a few drinks. Now, mind you, my house at the time had a basement. If you walk into the kitchen, I had a small window over the sink looking into the yard straight forward. The fridge on your right, past the fridge a few feet, there was 4 steps that led to a side door to my garage and backyard. Turn right again, and that led to the basement. I want to add this for visualization. Back to the occurrence. So as I'm playing my games with my headphones on, I audibly hear my wife say my name, Tech. So I say, "Yes, honey." No response. So I get up from my game, go to the back bedroom, our room, and she's sound asleep. I didn't think much of it, went back into the living room, rounded the corner to the kitchen, and opened the fridge for another beer. As I walk past the steps to the basement, outside of the corner of my eye, all I see is this figure with a white face looking at me. I never ran so fast in my life. Dude, I'd be fucking out of there. Hi, baby. Love you. Today it still gives me chicken skin, or goosebumps if you will. But the final story I have, mind you, same house. Sorry. But the final story I have, mind you, same house. We ended up getting new furniture, end tables and lamps. Midday, we were taking the lamps and older furniture upstairs. There was an attic door that you would pull the string on. There was an attic door that you would pull the string on the light to illuminate the whole space. Sorry, I'm stupid. Stupid. So I've already made a few trips up and down. Turned the lights off and shut the door. My wife was like, "Wait, I need that other lamp. Where'd you put it upstairs?" I told her, "It's to your left on the table I just took up." Excuse me. Excuse me. So she goes up to get it. Jesus Christ, excuse me. So she goes up to get it. Not but a minute later, I hear some scream, and she's flying down the stairs. I mean, she probably missed like 14 steps coming down. Her face was pure white, and she just hugged me so hard it hurt. So I said, "What happened? What happened?" She said as she opened the door to pull the string to turn on the light, it was like jammed, so she leaned inside the room a little further to see what was happening. As she did, she heard someone in her ear let out a slow breath like, I kid you not, I sold that home in less than a month. Strange part was, nothing else happened to us past this point. Everybody, a round of applause for Tech. That was a good one too. Jesus Christ. Sam, I'm sorry you had to fucking deal with that, dude. That's crazy. She said, like I can, I have goosebumps. That's crazy, dude. Holy crap. You guys, I guess I'll give a warning. There is drug use. I just caught the first sentence. So there's going to be a little bit of drug use, sensitive topic, if anybody fucking cares. This one is brought to us by Twoface_LFG in chat. He said, starts with, "So I was addicted to meth for years. I was living in my broken down car I blew up after I didn't put oil in it." Been there, bro. I literally sold a car this year. "So I was addicted to meth for years. I was living in my broken down car I blew up after I didn't put oil in it. I had been up for about a week and finally was nodding off. I came back to and my grandma was in the passenger seat and asked me, 'What the fuck are you doing? You become a burden and worse than the cancer that took my life. You need to get out of this gutter and come back to your dad and the living. Bobby. You are going to die if you don't stop this bullshit.' Then she faded away, and I cried and knew she was right. The next day, I made the hardest phone call ever to my dad that I hadn't seen in almost a year, crying, and I said I needed help. I detoxed myself in the downstairs spare room and went from 98 pounds back to 165 after a few relapses and came back. After that chat with my grandmother's ghost. My guy. Holy shit. Brother. So bro, I love you. I commend you. I'm proud of you. You did great. And I'm so glad that you're still here today. Also, it's really funny that it like follows me. That is awesome. We love you, Bob. Everybody fucking clap for Bob. Big claps for Bob in the chat. So here's a story from an anonymous submission. It contains possessions. So like if you guys don't believe in that, then you know, tell me in chat. Let me know. Tell me what you think of this story, because this one is fucking crazy. We've heard some crazy shit tonight, but this one is the craziest that you're gonna hear. Okay. Hey, she said I can game. So we're gonna restart the live when it's time to game. I really hope some of you come and pull me back up. That'd be amazing. So, like I said, this one's crazy. I almost, nah. I'm just gonna read it to you. All right. So this is from Anonymous. I'm not too sure how to start this story. I guess the best way to start is to say that it sounds crazy as all hell. If you don't think possessions or demons are real, then this story is going to be a joke to you. I was in my mid-20s and practicing astral projection and lucid dreaming. That being said, I was no newbie to seeing really weird and fucked up shit in my dreams. A lot of the time, it was hard to differ dreams from real life until I saw a creature or something that clearly didn't exist in the real world. This story starts on a night that I wasn't practicing anything. I wanted to go to bed and sleep, that's it. Well, the spirit world had other plans for me. I'm not too sure how long I was asleep before it happened. It started as what seemed like astral projection. I could see my own body laying in bed next to my wife. I remember feeling panic, like this wasn't supposed to be happening. We had a small closet in that bedroom, like super small. I remember feeling a rush of air behind me that caused me to turn around and look at that really small closet. What felt like a millisecond and 24 hours, at the same time. Hold on. I remember feeling a rush of air behind me that caused me to turn around and look at the really small closet. What felt like a millisecond and 24 hours at the same time, a shadow that I can only describe as wet smoke, came out the top of the doorway to the closet and swiftly yet slow as shit made its way across the ceiling and over my bed. Mind you, I'm watching this all happen in third person. My body is still laying lifeless next to my wife in our bed. Thank you for goal achieved with the claps. Thank you so much, Kay. I appreciate you. Mind you, I'm watching this all happen in third person. My body's still lying lifeless next to my wife in our bed. The shadow darted from the ceiling above me and dived into my head, the sleeping version of me, like an airstrike in Call of Duty. You know what I mean? Like that fast, so fast you don't know what just hit you fast. I'm not sure where it was entering me, but it was my head and mouth area mainly. The version of me that was watching all this happen got freaked the fuck out and started jumping on my bed to try to wake me. It felt like forever, like throwing a punch or running in a dream. It felt slowed down and dragged out. That's the only way I can describe how the jumping felt. I could feel it entering me as well. I can't describe the feeling too well. It just felt detached, yet heavy as fuck. I kept jumping. Now I'm jumping on my sleeping body like Finn Balor doing the coup de grace. If you know, you know. I know. I jerked awake. And here's the kicker. My wife and bed were moving like someone was jumping on the bed. Like someone was trying to shake us awake. Needless to say, I didn't sleep the rest of the night. Life didn't change right away. Slowly but surely it did. Things would come up missing, then reappear where they were originally. Toys would go off when shut off, or no batteries. And then the shadow people started showing up. The shadow people. It never felt malicious, and still doesn't. After a while, I told my wife about that night, and we put two and two together. Whatever tried to enter me that night did, and it is now everywhere we go. We moved, and so did it. We named it. We talked to it. We ask it to not take our stuff. It almost seems like after years of being together, we have come to an agreement. You can mess with me, but not my kids. And it usually doesn't. It tends to just mess with me and my wife. My children have seen shadow people, and that's about it. I know it sounds crazy, but to this day we still believe it's around and attached to me, and we learn to live peacefully together. Thanks for listening to my nonsense. Holy shit. Bro. Guys. Yeah, Finn Balor, right, dude? Yo, that was fucking wild. That's crazy. That is insane. I can see why they wanted to be anonymous, because that's It sounds crazy. It sounds crazy. I believe it. He said, bro, I've needed this. I'm so happy. Dude, listen, I'm happy you're here and I'm glad you like it, dude. And it's going to be once a week, so just look forward to it. Thank you so much for saying that. Can we got to pin that message real quick. I got it. Boom, baby, boom. I appreciate you, bro, boo. Lover. There's a snake in my boot. Like, I believe in that shit. So, like, I really, like, as crazy as it sounds, I really think it happened. I think it's a fucking thing, you know? I think that was real. I believe it. Do you guys like that? Send them my way, dude, because we got, like, we're gonna do this episode again. Honestly, some things are way too hard to explain, but if you write it out, you know, like, it might be a little easier. Everyone says they think they're crazy. No, I believe you. That's what I'm saying. Whoever that was, I believe you. That shit sounds crazy, but I believe you. Moose is ready, not mouse. Like, that was a good story, guys. That was a really, really good story. Like, I liked that. And they wrote it pretty good, too. So now, I didn't write any of this down, but now I got 2 stories of my own for you guys. Let's stop the ad from happening. I got 2 stories of my own for you guys. The first one, I didn't think about telling you guys until I read Vicky's story about her grandmother. It's not my grandmother. So actually I have 3 stories for you. I'll tell you the fast one really quick. It's about my brother. My brother passed away when I was 12 years old. I have a ant tattoo here for him. And then his initials right here. He always wanted an ant tattooed on his back and he never got one. So when he passed away, a lot of us in the family went and got ant tattoos. So my brother passed away when I was 12. And he used to walk around the house and he would just whistle. Just randomly whistle. My mother said that I had to have my TV turned off by 11 o'clock at night. I turned my TV off to go to sleep, and within a couple minutes I heard whistling. And it sounded just like my brother's whistle. So I got scared as all shit, and I turned my TV back on, right? And it's an old house. My parents still live there. The crack underneath the door is like that fucking big. So like if there's any light in that room, you're gonna fucking see it through the crack of the door. You know what I mean? So I turned the TV back on, and my mom walks by and seeing the light, and she opens the door and she says, Sean, I told you you need to go to bed by 11 o'clock, or turn your TV off by 11 o'clock. And I was like, Mom, I heard Josh whistling. And my mom believes in ghosts because of the next story I'm gonna tell you. So I was like, I heard Josh whistling. Can you come lay in bed with me? Mind you, I have a twin-size bed. I'm 12 years old. I've been 6 foot since I was 12 years old. You know what I mean? I was a big dude. And my mom was like, okay, yeah. So she comes in bed, she lays with me. And no joke, as soon as like her head hit the pillow, we heard the whistling again. And it wasn't the same whistle. It was like the same whistle, but like a different pattern, you know? Like first one was like doo-doo-doo. This one, he was like doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. You know what I mean? And my mom jumped like fucking, you know? And she looked at me dead in my face. She was like, Sean, you can turn the TV back on. So I turned the TV back on. And that's the quick story. Turned the TV back on. My brother didn't whistle again. And life went on. But like, yeah, dude, that was probably 2 days after he died too. So like, it was very fresh, you know? So when we heard the whistling, we were like, that's fucking Josh, bro. That's Josh. My oldest son's name is Josh after him, Dabber Jr. But yeah, so like that's my first story. I don't like this song. That was my first story. Um, so yeah, I'm over here. Grandpa, shut up. What did Josh? My son would say, he's like, I had a girlfriend once. She was an Asian sex doll I bought off Temu. So the next story is why my mom believes in ghosts. This one's a little bit longer, and this reminded Vicky's story reminded me. So this one, I grew up in a house. It was a big, huge fucking house that was split into like 15 apartments. Back in the day, it was an orphanage. Okay. I'll try to make it quick. Excuse me. Back in the day, it was an orphanage. Okay. So I was maybe like, I think it was like 5, 6, and 7 years old. Like I was little, right? My mom used to work at a store up here in upstate New York, strictly called Stewart's, right? For everybody else, it's like a Wawa, 7-Eleven, fucking your regular gas station convenience store, right? And so she used to work there, and she would, Stewie's baby, let's go. Stewart's for life. Stewart's. My mom worked there till 11 o'clock at night. She was a closer, right? Waba waba. And to me, that was really late. My bedtime was 7 o'clock. I would watch Rugrats, and then I would go to bed. And I would struggle to sleep because my mommy wasn't home. We lived with my grandmother too. You know, me and my mom lived with my grandmother. If I didn't fall asleep by the time my grandmother went to bed, it was a horrible, horrible night. Tommy Pickles, that's right. It was a horrible night. It was hard. What? We have detected inactivity? What the fuck? You guys are still here, right? It said it detected inactivity. The hell was that about? I just got like a call from TikTok saying that it detected inactivity. Like, I'm not doing anything in this live. I can't wait to send them the recording and be like, what the fuck, guys? What the fuck, guys? What the fuck, guys? Alright, so as I was saying, I gotta be a little more fucking movement now, right? So as I was saying, right? The fucking, I had to be in bed by 7 o'clock at night. My mom worked till 11. If I didn't go to sleep by the time my grandmother went to bed, it was a horrible fucking night. I was scared the whole time. Mind you, the house used to be an orphanage. So after a while, when I'm laying in the bed, I start getting these feelings, and I would open my eyes and I would look, and there was this man with a big beard, right? Big beard. He had a flannel shirt on, and like hair to like his shoulders, and he would just sit there and he would just stare at me and he would just watch. He would just look at me and just like, and I didn't feel awkward. I didn't feel weird. I didn't feel awkward. I wasn't scared. It almost felt safe. Like this dude just looked at me. Honestly, Tech, imagine you 70 years old with like an extra 20 pounds. Maybe 30 pounds. He was a big guy. He would just sit there and he would stare at me. And here's where it gets crazy. So I had a special teacher I would go see because I'm autistic and ADHD. Well, I was diagnosed. I have a lot of issues, you know what I mean? And in school, I had a special teacher that I would go see and talk to my, like a counselor, but they were a teacher at the same time, right? So I would go see him and I would talk to him about things and about how my parents weren't together, whatever. And I told him about the guy that would stand at the end of my... Oh, by the way, I shared a bedroom with my mom. So it was my bed against the wall, a space like 5 feet wide, and then my mom's bed. So he didn't stand at the end of my bed. He actually stood at the end of my mom's bed and like looked like kitty corner at me. You know what I mean? And I would tell him, I was like, yeah, there's this guy that stands in my room and watches me when I sleep, and he's not real. Like, I can see through him. So they were like, they sent me to a mental facility. Okay. Um, I had to go live with crazy people for like, I think it was a max like 6 days until I got taken out, because they're like, is that an ad yet? Okay, so they sent me to the crazy home for seeing things and possibly being schizophrenic, this, that, whatever. My mom was in the kitchen, and so the kitchen had these windows and a door, and I guess she walked past the door, and in the window, like, she looked outside, and behind her seen the dude that I explained, the guy with the beard and the flannel, whatever, right? She went and signed me out of that place ASAP. Was like, nope, he's not crazy. He's not seeing shit. I seen it. The guy's real. My son is seeing fucking ghosts, right? And the whole time I lived there, dude, like, this is the end of the story. Like, I got taken out of the mental facility. But the whole time I lived there, dude, and if my mom wasn't around, he was. And I wasn't scared. And I forgot about this part. My grandmother, while I was this is before my mom came to pick me up. My mom seen the guy, right? And my grandmother, like, was already out doing shit. My mom, my grandmother was, what was it? She was out doing shit, and somehow, this was before cell phones, but somehow my mom got a hold of my grandmother. I don't know how. I remember that my mom would tell me to go to, you know what it was? My mom would call Stewart's at a specific time. And you can, the Stewart's phone used to ring on the payphone and a phone behind the desk. So if someone at the payphone grabbed that shit real quick, you were answering the Stewart's call, right? I think he was my protector. Like, well, so hold on, I'm getting there, Tech. I'm getting there. So I'm pretty sure my mom had my grandmother like call, like, she called the Stewart's or something. I don't know. But this was before cell phones. So, like, I don't know how the fuck my mom got a hold of my grandmother. But she got a hold of my grandmother, and my grandmother went to, I grew up in Troy, New York. It's a very historical town in all of the United States. My grandmother went to the Troy, New York Public Library, and it's a huge library. Like, I'm talking, like, not your just go get a book library. This is an archive library, okay? So my grandmother went and she checked out some archives of, you know, our street, our house where we lived, whatever. She found, I want to go to the library and find where she found, because she found a picture of the fucking guy that I seen, the dude with the beard and the fucking the flannel and shit. And her and my mother conspired and realized, like, that's the person Sean said he seen, right? And then they took me out of the fucking the mental facility. But I'm telling you, dudes, lady dudes, friends, family, everybody watching, that shit was crazy. It was real. This man, like Tech said, was he your protector? He was the owner of the orphanage when that house was an orphanage. So I'm gonna safely say, yeah, I was a little kid that was alone. He was the owner of an orphanage, so, like, obviously, like, he was looking at me like one of the fucking orphans or something, and was like, I got your back, dog. That's why it didn't feel malicious. That's why it wasn't scary. That's why I wasn't freaked the fuck out, because, like, I think he really was, dude. Really think he was. And then I got one more story for you guys that was originally planned, and then I'm gonna stop the live and restart it. If you want to come back, I would love it if you guys came back, hung out with me for a little bit while we play a little bit of video games. So here's this one is it's kind of two stories put together in one. I grew up with this guy. We're gonna call him B. And him and I were inseparable. We were connected at the hips. No joke, from 4 years old until we were 20, 19, 20 years old, when I ended up having to fight him because he went crazy and was on drugs and shit. And it was crazy. So he lived in a house that was owned by, I don't remember their parents' name, but owned by this kid's parents, Matt and Don, right? Matt and Don's mom gave birth to her daughter upstairs in the upstairs apartment and died during birth. Brennan lived next door from that house. Matt and Don, their mom and dad, and now dead mom and baby sister, lived upstairs, and someone else lived downstairs. The downstairs neighbors moved. Brennan, oh, I just gave away his name. Brennan's mom and dad needed a bigger house, so they said, let's move next door. So they moved next door, and Matt and Don and his dad and the daughter moved somewhere else, still owned the house and rented out the upstairs. Okay. We used to sneak out of the house and be little fucking assholes, you know what I mean? Like we were real scumbags. Real scumbags, right? So we used to sneak out of the house and we would just do dumb shit. So I already knew that Matt and Don's mom died in the house, but like I wasn't scared. I never thought about it. It was never a thing. Brennan used to tell me his house was haunted, and I thought it was just to scare me because, as you can tell now, I'm huge. I'm a huge horror buff, right? That's because I used to be a pussy. I used to be terrified, bro. Everything scared me. I was a little bitch. I mean, I was a bitch, right? But now I love being scared, bro. I love that shit. Like it's my go-to adrenaline, you know. So he used to tell me the house was haunted, but I never really believed him. You know what I mean? Like, and this is before I really had any personal experiences except for that one from the last story with the guy that watched over me. So like ghosts weren't really like a thing on my mind too much at the time. I wasn't watching the shows I was still young. We went to go sneak out, and I go to the front door to put my shoes on, and I bend over and I tie my shoes, right? And when I stand back up and I turn around, I walked through a woman, like 5'6", 5'7". Walked. She was all white, see-through, pale. Don't know what she was wearing, but I just know it was a woman, and I walked right through her, and I felt every emotion you could think of in the world. I was scared, happy, sad. Like, I felt everything. And here's the funny part. I screamed so loud, bro. I woke up Brennan's mom. We did not sneak out that night, and I ran my ass home. Luckily, I lived, like, if anybody's from the city and you know what blocks are, I lived a block down, so, like, I didn't have to go far. I just fucking, like, I fucking got out of there, dude. Like, we got in trouble. So here's where it turns into like two stories. So the next day I went back to his house, whatever, and his mom was like, "The fuck was happening? Like, what the fuck, Sean?" And I told him what happened, right? And Brendan's like, "I told you the house was haunted, blah blah blah," right? And I was like, "I fucking believe you now." And his mother was friends with the upstairs neighbors, right? And they had a daughter. She told the upstairs neighbor about me walking through the chick, right? They told her that their daughter would see a woman asking for a little girl. I forgot the little girl's name. We're just going to say Emily for fucking fuck's sakes, you know what I mean? But she would say, "Mommy, the lady was here asking for Emily again." the people upstairs, their kid upstairs, was seeing the ghost that I walked through, and I swear it had to have been Matt and Don's mom looking for her daughter that she died while giving birth to in that house. Like, everybody, it wasn't pitter patter, dude. It was stomped. I was out of there, gone. Yeah, dude, it was never confirmed. Like, never, like, I'll make that clear. It was never, ever confirmed. But Brennan's mom told the upstairs neighbors about me walking through the chick. And they were like, that's crazy. Our daughter's been seeing a woman. And the woman's been asking for her. She says the woman asked for her daughter, Emily. And, like, that's it. So I'm assuming... Like, and I know when he said the daughter's name, it wasn't Emily. But it was the name of the daughter, you know, that was born. So, like, upstairs was confirmed that was Matt and Don's mom looking for the baby. But it's not confirmed that the same woman that I walked through was the woman looking for the baby. But, I mean, put two and two to fucking together. Like, why wouldn't it be? You know what I mean? It's absolutely wild. Yeah, it is, right, dude? Even if you didn't believe me, like, it's still crazy. That would be a good story to put in a book, you know? But, like, yeah. So I honestly think Matt and Don's mom was looking for the daughter. And guys, that is episode 1 of Beyond the Static. Fucking thank you guys for being here. Thank you for sticking with it. Thank you for dealing with me reading things on multiple times. Tech, thank you for the fucking galaxy, bro. What the fuck? That was crazy. We need some more submissions for next time. Listen, I'm taking submissions all the time. It's just not going to be read until next episode. So, like, if you want to fill me up with a 2-hour episode of reading submissions, let's do it. Let's do it. Send them my way. I'll take as many as you got. Next episode, we are going to be covering haunted locations across the United States. So if you guys have any haunted locations that you want to send my way, I might pick it and do some research, and then we'll speak about it next episode.